everybody. Let's hope that 2021 is a brighter, greener, and happier year. As you might know, Brome Birdkey is located in a small rural town in Quebec, and naturally all of us actually feed birds and try to do our best to take care of nature and wildlife around us. Often we exchange articles about what can be done and how we can improve things in our backyard. And just recently, a colleague of mine, Sandra from Customer Care, forwarded this really interesting article by Nature Conservancy of Canada. This is something that we do in our household anyway, but I thought I would talk about it on this episode. So, if you had a real Christmas tree, I hope you still have it. Nature Conservancy recommends leaving it somewhere in your backyard. First of all, while it's green and has all its needles, you can place it by your bird feeders and it will provide a great perching area for your birds. It will also provide shelter for them. A few years ago, I made all sorts of edible decorations and I decorated that Christmas tree and left it all outside. It was very pretty and the birds really liked it. If you don't have any area around your bird feeders, then you can place it actually somewhere in the remote area of your backyard, and birds and other wildlife will find shelter in it. And then later in the summer and the fall, when the tree will start decomposing, it will become part of the ecosystem. When we were hauling our Christmas tree this year, I actually tried looking for the older ones from previous years, and there was nothing left of them. Well, first of all, let's see if you can spot Dr. Bird's co-host on this episode. And the second thing, Naomi Larocque would like to know, why would 6 healthy geese attack a smaller, injured goose? Shouldn't they be helping it?
Hi, Naomi. I couldn't find any evidence that the geese were indulging in some sort of assisted suicide for that smaller wounded goose you were watching. Rule by tyranny runs rampant in the goose world, and family disputes, invariably over food, are quite common. This is especially true in the non-breeding season, where transient geese come together without any dominance hierarchies yet established. What I suspect happened to your poor goose is that the other healthy birds, the family of 6, saw that it was vulnerable and they took it upon themselves to pick on it. They simply didn't want the competition for food, and thus they were bullying it to drive it off. I seriously doubt that they had the bird's welfare in mind by providing assisted suicide. I've never heard of that behavior in any bird species. We must keep in mind that nature is not like Walt Disney. It's very cruel, and only the fit birds survive. I've heard of the same behavior in chicken flocks. Once one member of the flock gets any sort of open wound on it, the other birds appear to smell the blood and begin pecking at it mercilessly. It's like a form of contagion, and that's likely what happened to your goose.
Susan Roghair from Florida gave me a great tip. Did you know that you can replant herb cuttings that you buy at the store? Here's what Susan recommends. So you take the stems of the herbs, you remove all the bottom leaves, just leaving the top, the newer growth. Then you take a clay pot. Apparently they love clay pots. And you'll also need that fluffy light potting mix. You add a little bit of moisture to the potting mix. Then using a pencil or a screwdriver, you make a hole in the potting mix, then you put the stem, and then you tightly pack the soil around the stem, and Bob's your uncle. I'm definitely going to try that, and if you do, let me know how it goes. I've always been fascinated by ravens. They're so smart. They have a great memory. I think they can remember humans who have been either cruel or kind to them. And they're so good at solving all sorts of puzzles. And they live up to 30 years old when in captivity. But a new study conducted in Germany demonstrates that ravens develop all their intelligence and their cognitive ability by the age of 4 months. A 4-month-old raven has been proven to have the same kind of environmental awareness and problem-solving skills as an adult orangutan and a chimpanzee. On On Around the World, I'm living vicariously through the birds. This time, let's go to Cape Verde. It's a bunch of volcanic islands in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, close to the African continent. And then there's this bird called the Raso lark, which is endemic to those islands. The only problem is that this bird has been endangered for years because of predation by feral cats and rodents. But then one year, BirdLife International and the government of Cabo Verde decided to rid one of the islands, the Santa Lucia Island, of all rodents and feral cats. And in 2018, a small group of Raso larks was reintroduced to that one island. Conservationists were still worried about some presence of feral cats. And then, of course, in 2020, because of all the travel restrictions, they couldn't make it to the island to monitor things. So they were really worried about Raso larks. However, just recently, a group of conservationists did make it to the island, and they discovered 7 breeding pairs with 17 juveniles. No feral cats have been spotted so far, and the birds seem to be doing great. 2020 was a rough year for the Migratory Bird Treaty Act. As I mentioned it in previous episodes, there were several attempts to dismantle it, but Canada is stepping in to help protect birds. In 1916, Canada and the US signed the Convention for the Protection of Migratory Birds, which is basically an agreement between the two countries to respect the Migratory Bird Treaty Act and migratory birds. Last week of December, the Honorable Jonathan Wilkinson, the Canadian Minister of Environment and Climate Change, issued an official statement to the US government stating that the proposed changes to the MBTA are not in accordance and violate the convention signed by the two countries. Well, let's see what happens next. Well, it's time to say goodbye. Take care, everyone. And if you submit pictures to our photo contest, finches, don't forget to ID the birds. Take care, everyone. I'll catch you in 2 weeks.